You need to put yourself out there. You cannot be an invisible coach. People need to know the value that you bring. You need to start working with people, which means that the first step towards that is visibility, whether it's online or in person.
We actually use AI to help us analyze the podcast and come up with some content, but we don't just leave it to the robots. We also edit that content and improve it ourselves.
If you have not used, let's talk about your visibility. I used to tell coaches that, hey, we have to pick between reaching out to people and putting your content out there, whether that's in the form of an article, posts, or videos or podcasts, whatever it might be. Pick the thing to reach out. Pick reaching out to people. I still stand by that, except now what I say is,
hey, it's Daniel, and you are about to watch a clip from our free podcast, The Coach's Journey, where we help you navigate the surprisingly difficult path of building a coaching business by people who are actually doing it. And we go live, raw and unedited every week in our free Facebook community. Coaches Nation, welcome to another edition of the Coach's Journey podcast. I'm Daniel Fernandez. I'm here with my co-host, Faisal Ensan. And today's topic is changes to the business of coaching for 2026 with the emergence of AI. And I say emergence, but obviously AI has been here for years now, and it's starting to affect all industries. And I think it's a little bit past starting, but AI is doing a lot of things to a lot of industries. Coaching is no exception to that. So let's get started talking about AI. I know, Faisal, you and I are both using AI in our coaching in different ways. So let's talk about what is going on with the business of coaching in 2026.
yeah, before we'll jump into that, but we actually have a really cool workshop that we have designed for December 10th. And for those who are listening to this live, you can register for it for free. And what we're covering there are quite a few things, but the main purpose of the workshop is to help you get your first or 5 next clients. So if you're a coach who's wanting to build your business this year and towards the beginning of next year, then this is a great opportunity for you to attend. And we'll share more details around it, but and we're going to go into what it takes from a skill sets point of view, from putting yourself out there, from a sales process point of view, and from an AI point of view, how you can tweak and set up your plan for your business and for your role as a coach, for you to be a better coach in the world of coaching and actually get your first 5 clients and understand the process to consistently get clients. Then this will be for you. So if you're watching this in a post on Facebook, just type hashtag challenge, and then we'll share the link with you guys. But then you're getting a couple of bonuses around this too. We'll talk about the bonuses as we move forward. You'll hear about it throughout the week. And if you're listening to the recording of this, make sure you just type hashtag challenge below, and we'll share either the recording or the resources connected to this workshop that we have done, because you'll probably see the edited version of this about a month out. And if you haven't joined our community, please do so. You'll find the link below. Because you will have gotten, if you were part of our community, you would have gotten the live workshop for free, and now you're hearing about this afterwards.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this workshop, Faisal, because this is for coaches who, like us at the beginning, were struggling, and even honestly, after several years, we still struggle as coaches because it's a complex business. It's more complex than people think when they start out as coaches, and so those struggles are real. There's emotional struggles, there's logistical struggles, there's process struggles. There's so many different pieces of this that we can certainly help coaches with. So that's going to be an amazing workshop, December 10th. Mark your calendars. And we are going to be talking about AI, just like we're talking about AI today. Actually, we've been talking about AI quite a bit recently. So let's jump into our podcast, Faisal.
Yeah, let's do it. That's I kind of joke around about this whenever I talk to other business owners or anybody else. Yeah, I don't actually have enough time on my calendar to to be engaged with AI. I'm finding more and more time these days, and for lots of different things. And we'll talk about a few key areas. But as a starting point, if you're not using AI the right way for your marketing process and sales process, then you're missing out. And there's this phrase that stands out for me both from a job perspective and business. I don't know which one said this. Is one of the AI experts that you're not going to be replaced by AI, but you're going to be replaced by somebody using AI. And in the same business, in the same job, whatever that might be. Now, most coaches are using it the wrong way. a lot of times, but a starting point might be is that if you have not used, let's talk about your visibility. I used to tell coaches that, hey, we have to pick between reaching out to people and putting your content out there, whether that's in the form of an article, posts, or videos or podcasts, whatever it might be. Pick the thing to reach out. Pick reaching out to people. I still stand by that, except now what I say is it's taking you 1/10 or less of that time to create content once you understand what you're doing. So why can't you do both? It's not a matter of time anymore. It's a matter of actually using the tools that are available to you. And we'll talk about how you can use it, but that's the starting point. If you're not using it for you to be visible as a coach, as a business owner, let people know what you're doing to serve people, then you're missing out a lot on in this new technological development.
Yeah, and actually, that really brings up like kind of the way that I've approached my business, which is not social media at all. I've been doing very, very little content out there because primarily I'm doing coaching through referrals and invitations. And so that process for me is actually going to be a little bit different going forward because as you said, like it's getting easier and easier to do that stuff. Right? So, there's very little um time that you can use to put that out there. But I don't know that it's the creation of the content. It's a lot of the thinking that goes behind it, but you can do thinking faster with AI too now. So AI is a good thinking partner for a lot of things, and generating content is actually a great place to sink your teeth into learning how to use AI. And it doesn't mean that you're going to create generic, AI content. You can, and that can be something, but you can also use AI to generate real content based on you and your own content. So there's so many different ways you can leverage AI. You can take transcripts of your coaching calls and extract the key things that you're talking about. You can then turn each of those into content. So what I do after coaching sessions, I send a little follow-up to clients. I don't even use AI to put that into content, but I am creating content constantly. So I can actually take all those things and start putting them online. But AI can help me do that too, right? And so this is like just a little tip of the iceberg of your coaching content can be used to generate your coaching sessions can be used to generate content as long as, of course, you respect confidentiality depending on like your client agreements as well as how you are going to use that data. But there's lots of easy ways to extract things from your sessions, as an example. Other ways that we even at CMC we use AI to generate content from conversations. For example, this podcast, we actually use AI to help us analyze the podcast and come up with some content. But we don't just leave it to the robots. We also edit that content and improve it ourselves so that it's coming from us authentically. And a lot of the times, the AI gets it wrong. And so I'm, looking at an article that we generated from a podcast. I'm like, this is actually not what we said at all, and this is pretty much like incorrect. So, but it's actually getting a lot better. It's gotten better over the last little while, and so it's not making as much errors. But sometimes it won't get something. It'll make the context a little off, and the article won't make sense anymore. So we still have to like have our own voices in there. But AI is getting better and faster doing some of the things that we want it to do. So there's a lot of ways you can use AI just to take content that you've already generated and produce useful, valuable things for other people to consume.
Yeah. And the key there was that not just some generic content, and this is I think the thing that a lot of marketers or coaches get stuck with is you can just tell AI to create 30 days worth of content and I'm this and this and this. Like that could be very straightforward. But the thing is it will look like the content everybody else generates. And so you look like a copy of copy, and you don't want to do that, especially if you're high ticket coach, especially if you're building a brand, especially if you want to be recognized as a leader in this space. What you want to do is what Danielle pointed to is it needs to know your work. It needs to know your tonality. It needs to know your thought process. AI, by it, I mean AI, for it to give you the thing that you need, and then you still need to analyze it and think with it. So putting a little bit more effort, and once you figure it out, and once it understands you a little bit more, then it becomes faster and faster and faster. And all you have to do is, with a couple of prompts and a little bit of editing, you can generate really high quality content that looks more authentic to you. So that's just one tip for you to take away, is that use your own. So which means that don't necessarily go to AI. Create your content. Go do coaching sessions. Do some things, and then feed that into AI so it can give you a version of that, a better version of that as you work on it, and then you can keep making it better and better as you move forward. So like Daniel said, it partially becomes a thinking partner, partially it understands what you're trying to do, so it accelerates the process of you creating content, serving people, and those kind of things. That's on the marketing side. We're going to be going much deeper into our workshop on that for you to understand what it takes to do that.
Yeah, and the more it knows about you, the more accurate its output can be, not necessarily will be, but the more it knows about what your goal is. So when you're doing your prompting, like you might say, like, well, how do I take the stuff that I'm already doing and do that? Well, you can actually take the transcript and put it in there and say, like, hey, extract for me verbatim quotes that are aligned with my, let's say it's your target audience that you've defined. So maybe you have a document that says, this is my target audience. You put that in there and you say, here's a transcript. Find quotes from me that are aligned with my target audience. And it'll just pull them out for you. And by the way, when you're pulling out verbatim stuff, it's not always accurate. So it's going to give you timestamps, have it tell you the timestamps, and go double check it. But also, if it's quotes from you, you can modify them to your will. So it's like, you don't have to check it. If it sounds good, great, you can take it. You generated it with AI, it's also yours. But like I like to make sure that, especially if I'm quoting somebody else, that the verbatim quotes are actually correct, and it's getting more accurate at that. One of the things I like to do too is take one of those quotes and just like build a little bit of a. You can actually take one of those quotes and actually build a video message on it. That video message can have a transcript, and you can feed that back in, and you can teach AI over time what you want it to understand about you. Just it comes down to like the data that you put in, and like I always say, like in the '80s, it was like garbage in, garbage out. It's still true. You come up with a garbage prompt based on generic content that isn't yours, and it'll produce like some nice, beautiful garbage out, right? And really confidently too. It'll produce really confident looking stuff that is not really applicable or necessarily true or right for you. But you can still put it out there. But then the challenge is you can create a brand that's incongruent with who you really are. So and also it doesn't differentiate. It's just like everybody's going to be posting, like you and a billion other coaches are going to be putting the exact same content online. Like, hey, yeah, generate me a content calendar, generate me like personal development goals. Okay, great, it can do that, but everybody can do that. You can do that yourself if you're on LinkedIn. So nobody wants to see that kind of content, in my opinion. Maybe it's helpful or inspirational for people occasionally, but it's not going to build your brand. It's not going to really resonate with your audience who wants to resonate with you, because at some point they're going to get on a call with you. So
And that's the key, which goes to the second point, which is around your sales process. Now, most coaches don't even like thinking about sales, rather than, let alone thinking about a whole sales process. And there is a process in every business. And yes, you are running a business. You're not just a coach. And so, which means that how do people, from the time they connect with you to the time that you make an offer and they accept the package and you move forward, what does that process looks like? What does that process look like? And AI can actually help you improve that and build that out as you do this. And we'll share a version of that process that we have built out on our workshop. And it's fairly straightforward. It's fairly intuitive. You can create a version of it. But the key is back to what Daniel said, is that at some point you're going to get on a call with the person that you're trying to connect with, whether it's through online or in person. And if your content, the things you're posting are so different than who you are and how you speak and how you connect with people, then that already creates a mistrust. And one of the hardest things in the world of high ticket sales is to build trust and build it quickly and build credibility quickly, so you can, when you make the offer, it lands well. You could be the best coach in the world if you don't know how to build trust and credibility with people. It doesn't matter, because they are not even open to your process. So you can actually use AI as a way to build that process up. We won't go into the details of it because there's a lot you can do in that area. But the key there is your authenticity. How you do that I'll just give one tip. You need to be able to walk people through your process and record pieces of it, whether you give it descriptions or transcripts or whatever you need to do at different stages of the sales process. It will start to gather information as to what's your authentic way of connecting with people is, and how you can improve that. It'll help you build a referral process. It'll help you build a way to connect with people better. And of course, AI is not the only thing that's enough. This is why we're part of communities. We're getting support. We're working with actual human beings because it won't know what to fully get right. And even if it does, you might not know how to interpret it right because you don't have the foundations of it. But it's a great place to get started. You have a lot more openness to do things. So the next step is it will help you with
Well,
your
as an
sales
example,
process.
I just want to pause you there, Faisal, and say, as an example, discovery sessions is a one part of the process. If you think discovery session is the whole process, you got another challenge, which is to recognize it's from the moment you meet somebody to the point where they're in your program, and then it still continues. The sales process really is like the whole interaction. And if you think like I don't like sales, then I'm going to challenge you and say, then you don't like coaching enough, right? Because sales is actually a form of coaching. Because if you really believe that your coaching can change someone's life, if you really believe that you're going to make this difference for somebody, but you don't believe in it enough for them to actually want to buy it, then there's a disconnect there, right? There's a disconnect between like, oh, I don't want to sell anything, but I want them to experience the coaching. Because if you give coaching to everybody for free, unless you're independently wealthy, you're going to run into a problem where you can't continue to do it, right? So for you to sustainably do it, you have to also have people pay you. And if you're going to have people pay you, you have to then, I would say you get to learn the art of sales. And so the art of sales is also the art of coaching. So you become a better coach by coaching people to make the right decision for them in terms of buying the coaching package, because it's going to literally change their life. What could be more valuable, right? It helps them achieve the things that they're struggling to achieve. It solves the problem that they're bringing to you. And so one way that you can do that with AI is you can take your discovery session and have AI analyze the transcript of that, but analyze it with the lens of help me understand how well I did in creating this person into a client. And helping this person see the value of being a client. There's lots of ways you can, we'll share some prompts with you for sure on our workshop, as we said, but there's lots of ways you can take those discovery sessions, those transcripts of things you actually did, and evaluate yourself. Now, I want to make sure that everybody knows, don't take the word of the AI as gospel truth, because it may be wrong. It doesn't have full context. It doesn't know the previous interactions, but it might provide some really good food for thought. So I always say, do not turn off your brain. Don't like let it tell you. And I have one example of, I used to use Read.ai to analyze my coaching sessions when it first came out, and it would tell me like, oh, here's the total talk time of this person, total talk time of that person, and here's the problems that you had. And I was reading this feedback, and I was like, this is not really helpful feedback. It's telling me all these things about my session that I don't really agree with, because it doesn't understand what I'm trying to do. And so I actually stopped using the service, because the report that it was giving me on my coaching wasn't actually helping me. It was actually making me like optimize things that did not need optimizing, that were actually counterproductive. So I want to just say, with a cautionary mindset, it can be helpful. Use it, and then take that stuff and decide what is applicable to you and what is not for yourself, right? So that's the second pillar is the sales process. That's one example of a way that you could do that, but not just in that process, across the whole process, as Faisal said.
Yeah, and the key there is to get it to see how you do things and do it and get it with get it to understand it with the lens of somebody who understands the sales process. Now the other piece of it is that we don't even fully rely on AI to do all this. We need feedback from another human being who's had experience, or a community of people. That's where you need to interpret that information. So I think it's great that the coaches are using AI to make sense of whatever they're doing. A lot of times they're not even thinking about the things that we're talking about. But let's say you're using it to interpret it. I got on a call with a coach a couple of weeks ago who had used an AI model to kind of try to figure out what she can do more of. And it was about 65-70% good, but she didn't know how to implement it. So I went a little bit deeper with her and tried to get her to see that, hey, if you focus on these couple of areas, this is what it's trying to say, then you're gonna move forward. Now, there are times where you don't even have that frame of reference, and we all don't have it based on where we want to be. If we did, we would be. And this is why you need a
Blind
community, you
spots.
need mentors to help you, because you still have to make sense of the data. Otherwise, you're just going blind and trying to experiment a bunch of stuff with a bunch of stuff that might or might not serve you. So that's the second piece, and we're going to be going much deeper into that. The delivering sessions that sell in our workshop. If you're watching this live, you can. We talked about it in the beginning. Make sure you type #challenge so we can share that with you, the registration link for it. And if you're watching this later on or listening to this on our podcast, then definitely go to the link in our for our community. Join it for free. You will get a bunch of resources connected to this workshop. At the least, you will get the trainings and resources, and you will be you will know about our free workshops and other things that we're doing ahead of time as well. So you're going to get a lot of value. The third piece is your skill sets as a coach, which we've been kind of alluding to throughout. We've been talking about the marketing and the sales process piece, but ultimately, what makes your coaching business work is the way you serve people. You can know everything about business, and I'll put it this way: if somebody really understands how to attract clients, connect with the right people, invite them to a coaching call. If their service sucks, it doesn't matter if they invited 10, 20, 30 people and they don't care about the thing. They're just trying to build a sales process. They won't get any clients. And that's something a business owner understands, that the product or service drives results, and it drives referrals, it drives the promotion of the anything that we're doing. A lot of coaches, the way they improve their services, the way they coach is by just joining another program, another certification, another coaching thing. Nothing inherently wrong with that, but the real learning comes from two areas. One is you actually doing the work, which means actually coaching people. If you're not coaching people, what are you doing? Whether free or paid, I don't care. And it's not, and the thing that doesn't count as much is coaching another coach. So you're coaching people outside of the coaching world, outside of the practice. And second, you're getting feedback for your coaching process. The first feedback is actually from you. So we encourage you to listen to your coaching calls, put it into AI, get it to give you some feedback, but really listen to your own sessions. The second set of feedback comes from other coaches who've actually done this, not some random business coach, not some marketing person, but somebody who's actually built a business like that. And you're getting feedback for your coaching process. And we actually do that in our community regularly. In fact, that's one of the bonuses that we're giving as part of registering for our workshop, is that you'll be able to come to one of our coaching sales clinic, which means that you will either be a volunteer client if you qualify for it, or you'll be an observer to watch how people are coaching somebody that leads to sales, but also get feedback for that process that is live. You're going to get that as a bonus just by registering.
And we've never actually opened this up to anybody outside of our pro membership. So this is a first opportunity, and only one spot for a client to be coached. So if you want to be that client, you'll have to apply. You'll see some emails. All you got to do is register for a workshop, and you will get the emails to see, who can be a client for that example session. And that's going to be powerful, not only for you to get free coaching if you want to be that client, but also to watch somebody do a discovery session. Then we're going to break it down, right? And that's based on our discovery sessions that sell framework, which we're going to go through on the workshop too, the week after. So you're going to learn, and then you're going to learn again, and that's a double experience that you're going to have. So hopefully you can come to both.
Yeah, for sure. And so we wanted to help you understand that AI is a crucial part of what you're going to do moving forward. And what I would say is, and I've said this on another podcast, that a lot of surface coaching is going to disappear because AI is going to take that over. And I think that's a good thing generally, which means that the place you need to be, where people are actually hiring you, is the place that connects to mastery, which means that you need to master your skill sets, with or without AI. You need to build a proper sales process as a business owner, so you understand what are the gaps and challenges with you getting clients, or which we'll go deeper into our workshop. And then finally, you need to put yourself out there. You cannot be an invisible coach. People need to know the value that you bring. You need to start working with people, which means that the first step towards that is visibility, whether it's online or in person. Start putting yourself out there. We give you some tips on that. But we're going to be covering all these three elements very deep into our workshop. Type #challenge in the live if you're hearing this, or afterwards on our podcast or YouTube, type #challenge so we can share some of the resources from this workshop with you.
Yeah, and I want to wrap up with one more point about what's happening to coaching, because yes, AI can replace some of the basic surface level coaching for sure, but what it's actually doing, I'm finding, and this is anecdotal for now, and I've heard other people report this too, is it's making the value of in-person connection more. And so, like, as we go to more AI world, and we saw this in COVID too, when people could not connect with other people, everything went virtual, but people were dying to travel. And when they got deprived of that human connection of being in person after COVID, people like travel went skyrocketing, right? And so the same thing with AI, as people start to like interact with AI a lot more, they're going to be really, really like deeply desiring more human connection, I think. And we're starting to see the infancy of that potentially. And so my thought is, how can AI help us increase human connection? And people are if you're going to be present with somebody, it's going to be a very different experience than somebody typing with an AI. That's very different, right? Having somebody in front of you talking to you, being with you is going to be different than you talking to an AI in chat form. And yes, AI will eventually have video avatars and all this stuff, but I think people are going to want and desire AI for certain things and want and desire humans for other things. And I don't think AI will ever fully replace that human connection that comes from like masterful coaching. And also, it probably will not be able to replace the things that creative collaboration can do, right? And so I think this is where your sweet spot as a human is. You have strengths as a human in who you are and what you bring and your experiences that AI cannot bring. It's not about information, as you probably know this. It's not about information, it's about transformation when it comes to coaching. And AI can provide you tons of information, but it can't necessarily take you through a transformational experience that'll fundamentally shift the way you experience the world, which is what coaching at a masterful level is all about.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. And we're super excited to see you on our workshop on December 10th. Make sure you register for it. And if you're listening to this afterwards on YouTube or podcast, please share this with a coach that might need to hear all this stuff. Because there are lots of changes coming into the business of coaching and even in the skill sets of coaching that you need to be aware of, and somebody else, a colleague, a friend might thank you for something like that, and they likely need to hear this. And please share your biggest insight below, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook. We're super excited to see you on our workshop or wherever we run into you. Until our next conversation, hope you have an incredible day.
Keep
Bye.
coaching. We'll see you next time.